This is a Nintendo Switch. But not just any Switch. You see, this unit offers a key feature not available in a retail system. The ability to capture direct feed video while playing in portable mode. That's right, it's now possible to pull video directly from the machine at full quality without engaging the docked mode. Why would anyone want this? I mean, after all, the Switch itself already offers video output, which is more than enough for just about anyone that desires to create a video based on Switch games. For us though, it's perfect. You see, until now, we've primarily focused on the docked experience when covering new Switch games. Tackling the portable experience, however, has always been a little difficult. Sure, it's possible to take snapshots in portable mode, film the screen, and some games even allow you to capture short 30 FPS videos, but it's really not ideal. Thanks to this mod, however, we can now better understand how a game might look and play when used in portable mode. In many ways, this almost feels like a product that was created specifically for us here at Digital Foundry. Thus, on today's video, we're going to introduce this mod, demonstrate its features, and test a whole lot of games. So, without further ado, let's check out some Switch games in portable mode. Let's begin with the basics. This Switch Video Out mod is the product of a Japanese modder that goes by the name Katsukity. You might already be familiar with Katsukity's name. After all, up until this year, they've sold a line of mods focused on adding video out functionality to Nintendo 3DS. This time, however, the same option has been added to a Switch, which just happens to be a huge help to us. We cover a lot of games on the Switch, and until this mod we had to film the screen when covering games running in portable mode. In those rare instances where we included a frame rate analysis, we even had to go in and manually count each frame by hand. With this approach, a 30-second frame rate analysis could take upwards of an hour to produce. So being able to capture direct feed portable gameplay allows us to better evaluate performance in this mode, using the same tools as docked mode while saving a heck of a lot of time. It also helps provide a deeper understanding of what it takes to deliver a game in portable mode, allowing us to better appreciate the work that's been poured into each game. So, when assembled, the mod features a rear-mounted board like this, encased in a plastic shell, with an appropriate USB 3.0 connection on top. The dock then is sliced up, just like this, in order to better house the modded Switch console when you want to play it in a more traditional fashion. It's a little messy looking, but not that bad really. Still, in my case, I opted to purchase a brand new Switch with this mod pre-installed rather than having my personal console modded. The full package with the mod pre-installed in a brand new Switch will run you $500, while the price drops to $200 if you opt to send your own Switch in. As you may have guessed, the mod does not support typical HDMI output. Instead, you connect it to your PC using a USB 3.0 cable. After installing the required driver and viewer, then simply connect your modded Switch and you're good to go. The viewer includes plenty of options allowing you to adjust how the image is scaled and the size of the back buffer you wish to use for capture. And honestly, it's pretty impressive just how sharp the image can be in this mode. 720p scales perfectly to 1440p or 4K, and it looks remarkably crisp. Even the Switch's user interface, which is rendered at 720p even in docked mode, benefits greatly from this. Once you have everything connected, then you can begin to enjoy portable Switch games on your PC. While the benefit is obvious for us, I could also see this being useful on a trip. Hotel TVs are usually locked out, and playing on a larger laptop screen might actually be preferable to using the Switch itself. But really, we're here to check out some games running in this mode in a way that we've never been able to show before. The first title I loaded up then is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's one of the best looking games in the system, and one that happens to make great use of the hardware. This is also one that demonstrates the benefits of playing games on a smaller screen. In portable mode, Zelda uses an adaptive resolution which bounces back and forth between a full 1280 by 720 and 648p. But while playing, this is fairly difficult to spot. Sure, you might notice a slight loss in clarity, but avoiding frame rate drops is far more critical. When using this mod, however, suddenly it all becomes clear. Right from the beginning of the game, it's easy to see when the title shifts between the two different resolutions. Okay, but why does that actually matter, since most people won't be playing it like this? Well, it's more about the information here. It suggests that the adaptive resolution switch occurs more often than we first thought, but more importantly, it also demonstrates that the loss in resolution really is a lot less noticeable on the Switch screen itself. So long as you're not dropping too low, this is a very effective way to keep up image quality on the Switch without sacrificing performance. And now at last we can directly compare portable capture against the game running in docked mode. In this case, it's just 720p versus 900p, but it's great that we can finally run this comparison using direct footage rather than relying on the heavily compressed JPEGs the Switch produces when using the screenshot button. Now, it's been a while since I've played the game, but the current version suggests that Nintendo has been rather successful in optimizing the game since launch. Now, we've examined some of these patches before here on the site, but in its current form, I found it difficult to locate any slowdown at all. Both portable and docked modes seem to run great now. It's entirely possible that there's still problem areas later in the game, but unfortunately, I couldn't test them due to Nintendo's outdated account system. I didn't want to make this modded system my primary Switch, thus I was forced to start every single game over from the beginning since you can't move save data around without transferring your entire account. So keep that in mind if you decide to buy a new Switch with this mod installed. Still, at this point, things are looking great, but what about some of the more demanding titles? I think Doom is a good choice. We re-examined the game earlier this year with the latest patch installed and found that in docked mode, the average resolution had been increased, producing a slightly sharper overall game experience. Now, the frame rate didn't benefit greatly, but it too did improve slightly. Unfortunately, we couldn't closely examine portable mode until now. So I kicked off with one of my favorite tests. This sequence always pushes the Switch version, leading to sustained dips below 30 frames per second when in docked mode. It does eventually recover somewhat, but you can see for yourself that the Switch is really struggling to maintain its target frame rate. So how does portable mode hold up in the same scene? Well, check it out. While impossible to capture like-for-like gameplay, of course, the results here are unexpectedly good. The average frame rate is higher, based on this test, with far fewer sustained dips. The frame pacing is still an issue, of course, but it runs a lot faster overall. This is exactly the kind of test that would have been difficult for us to do in the past, but is now possible thanks to this new Switch capture unit. And how about this scene then? Again, even with the latest patch installed, the docked experience falls well below 30 FPS throughout much of the scene. It is worth keeping in mind that these are worst case scenarios, by the way. The game does not run this poorly most of the time. It's just larger battles like this with lots of enemies where the system chokes. But once again, the portable mode comes out on top, handing in faster overall performance all around. Of course, with its reduced clocks, sacrifices are necessary in mobile mode, and that comes in the form of reduced resolution. While docked mode spends a lot of time between 648p and 720p, the portable mode regularly drops to around 432p or so during heavy gameplay sequences. While the smaller screen does help alleviate this somewhat, 432p is pretty darn low, thus the game ultimately appears rather blurry. So, thus far, the new capture kit has allowed us to better understand Zelda's dynamic resolution feature, while also enabling us to support our suspicion that Doom runs better in portable mode with real data. This is all very useful, interesting information that we couldn't really offer before. And while we're talking about id Tech 6, how does Wolfenstein 2 fare? As impressive as the port may be in terms of maintaining visual parity, the resolution is a real sticking point. When I first covered the game, a lot of folks picked up and ran with the 360p number, but as I stressed before, that is a relative rarity in docked mode, only popping up in a handful of the most demanding scenes. This new capture kit, however, allows us to better understand the average resolution in portable mode, and just as I originally suspected, it does seem to hang between 432p and 360p a lot of the time. So suddenly, when talking about portable mode at least, those complaints start to hold some water. But the situation is a little crazier than I expected. While the docked mode resolution is higher on average, and features additional ambient occlusion by the way, I noticed a few scenes where image quality was superior in portable mode. The resolution is similar of course, but the docked image quality is more aliased. Unlike Doom however, the lowest resolution, which is 360p, can appear in both portable and docked modes. This suggests that the portable mode has less available headroom compared to Doom, and that is supported by our frame rate analysis. In docked mode, this scene exhibits dips, but they are relatively minor, and honestly it does a great job of maintaining 30 frames per second during this combat sequence. In portable mode however, the average level of performance is a lot lower. It's nearly the inverse of Doom in fact, and thanks to this capture system, we can finally understand the difference. Docked mode can fall back on resolutions below 540p to help mitigate performance dips, but since portable mode is already at this level most of the time, there's really nowhere else to go, thus performance suffers instead. Wolf 2 also highlights the limitations of adaptive resolution in portable mode. While 648p was barely perceptible in Zelda, the drops to 432 and 360p are extremely noticeable even on the Switch's 6-inch screen. But it's not just third-party games which employ drastic tricks like this to improve performance. Supermario Odyssey is another fascinating example. As noted in our original analysis, I discovered that Nintendo is basically jittering two 640x720 images together all the time. So in a completely static scene, we get the illusion of a full 720p image, but in reality, the resolution per frame is lower. This is an effective strategy though when played on the Switch itself, but blowing the image up using our capture kit demonstrates why we have not seen anything quite like this in docked mode. It just doesn't work very well. It is, however, a great example of how developers are using portable specific tricks to help preserve the full fat console experience on the go. You can spot this during gameplay if you look closely at the screen, but it doesn't stick out immediately. Instead, it's the way in which Nintendo has managed to preserve the experience in mobile form that really matters most. In many ways, the Switch released at a perfect time then. Features such as reconstruction, adaptive resolution scaling, and temporal anti-aliasing have really taken off this generation. There are some last-gen games that explore these options, but by and large, these techniques have improved greatly and are now a perfect match for a portable platform. Most high-end Switch games rely on these techniques to provide a solid experience, which is a step up from the PS Vita era where most, not necessarily all, titles run with a fixed pixel count. Of course, not every developer is this successful when it comes to finding a good solution for portable play. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is an example of portable image quality gone wrong. For starters, Xenoblade 2 uses a strong sharpening filter which produces noticeable and often severe edge-ringing artifacts. It looks over-sharpened all the time. It's bearable in docked mode, mind you, but portable gameplay is severely hampered by it. We tried to convey this in our original review, but the true horrors only become evident using this mod, and it's not pretty. We can also finally test out performance in portable mode as well. I've always suspected that it runs a little worse in mobile mode, and now we have some real results. Okay, so if we jump over to docked footage of the game running, things aren't looking good as you can see. There's a lot of frame rate issues here, but if we switch to portable mode, it's even worse, despite the massive drop in resolution. In fact, across the board, Xenoblade 2 is one of those games that really suffers a lot in portable mode. The performance is worse on average and image quality is abysmal. The small Switch screen is not enough to cover it up, and this new capture device allows us to better understand the differences between docked and portable. Again, it's just useful information. So thus far then, the games we've examined all operate at a lower resolution than docked mode, but there are some interesting examples which kinda buck this trend. Bayonetta 2 on the Switch is one such example. This game, along with its prequel, both run at 720p in docked mode and in portable mode. At the time of release, we were a little disappointed with the selected resolution. It runs great, but it feels like 900p should have been within reach, but alas, it offers no real image quality boost over the Wii U original or over portable mode. Where docked mode does shine, however, is in performance. The frame rate is hugely improved over the Wii U. Scenes which struggled on Nintendo's last-gen system now shine on the Switch. And now, thanks to this new mod, we can finally compare portable performance to the Wii U. After all, the game is 720p on both machines, so it makes a perfect comparison. It's also one of the best examples in terms of how the Switch has improved our workflow. I used an example of Bayonetta 2 earlier to show how it's possible to frame count a filmed clip and get proper frame rate data from it. That clip took me over an hour to produce. With the mod, however, I was able to match it and exceed it in fact in length in just a few minutes instead. Alright, so looking at performance, the differential isn't massive, but I do believe that the Switch in portable mode does offer a more stable overall experience, and now using scenes like this, we can actually prove it. If we jump back to the Wii U briefly, the performance here is lower than what we were just seeing on the Switch. Neither is entirely smooth, of course, but even docked mode struggles a tad here. As you can see again, it is a little faster on the Switch in portable mode. Or how about this battle right at the start of the game? Again, it's rather similar, but the Switch does seem to have a slight advantage in this situation. The Wii U's weakness when it comes to handling a lot of alpha transparencies becomes rather obvious in this game. So hey, that's great news. Switch in portable mode can certainly hold its own. It looks great too using the mod's custom viewer. The nice crisp nearest neighbor scaling from 720p to either 1440 or 2160p really looks great, and it's actually cleaner than what you get when allowing the Switch itself to upscale to 1080p. Mario Kart 8 is of course another game with a Wii U level experience on the go. Image quality is great in portable mode with a full 720 displayed throughout all of our tests. Now the Wii U version is also 720p, but I did later discover that there's a little bit of an adaptive resolution feature in play when things get busy, and it's possible that it's here on the Switch as well, but really, it's 720p 99.9% of the time, if not 100%. Really, this is one of the best portable experiences on the Switch. It's a perfect match for the system, and it appears razor sharp on the Switch's built-in LCD screen. The same goes for Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, another Wii U port that works great on Nintendo Switch. With its crisp, clean 720p image, it looks great both on the actual Switch screen and via the capture mod. But what's interesting here with Captain Toad is the way in which this mod can transform the game. You see, on Wii U, players always have access to a touchscreen via the Wii U gamepad, and many of the game's puzzle mechanics are designed around this. On Switch, when playing in docked mode, touch is replaced with a gyro-based cursor system that I'm not a huge fan of. When playing in portable mode, however, it's possible to use the touchscreen just like on Wii U. And when combined with this mod, it's now possible to play the game using dual screens, just like the Wii U original, with the Switch itself acting as a touch input device and your monitor, the TV. Neat. Beyond that, both Mario Kart 8 and Captain Toad deliver a rock-solid 60 frames per second experience across both modes. In the case of Mario Kart 8, this is also still an improvement over the Wii U version, which exhibits skipped frames at regular intervals. You guys remember that one, right? Now, Octopath Traveler is another one I want to look at. While the lower resolution and mild frame pacing issues are a little annoying, the game looks gorgeous overall. But how does the portable experience look blown up full screen? Well, the handheld mode outputs at 1024 by 576 versus the 720p you get while docked. This is certainly one game that would have benefited from operating at the Switch's native screen resolution, but at least the HUD and text elements are native. It's just the pixel art character designs that lose some of their charm as a result of the additional scaling blur. Just a little though, it still looks nice. Lastly, I spent a little time playing a couple of different multiplayer games in this mode. Paladins from Hi-Res Studios looks glorious in portable mode, and blowing it up full screen on a PC monitor doesn't detract too much from the presentation. I'm really impressed at the fluidity of the game and the resolution of the experience. When respawning or engaging in larger battles, the resolution can drop rather low, all the way down to 378p. But the thing is, this doesn't seem to happen all that often based on my experience. It's an impressive showing for an Unreal Engine 3 game. Epic's Fortnite then is a wide-open Unreal Engine 4 title that fares rather well on Switch. Like Paladins, the resolution can slip based on the action, but I found that image quality is kind of a step back in some ways despite the more advanced temporal AA solution. That same TAA can produce moments like this, where the characters kind of blur and pixelate in a way that's not really very attractive. All that said, while the image quality does appear worse than I expected when blown up to full screen, this is of course still the proper Fortnite experience on a small handheld console. Mobile phones like iPhone X offer a more powerful GPU than Switch, yet it still lacks the fidelity of this version, though obviously the phone is limited by its need to function as more than a games machine. We've explored a lot of games in this video then, but there's still a lot of others to examine. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with this mod, but the main advantage for us stems from the ability to properly examine Switch games in portable mode, just as we've been doing while docked. Using this mod, our testing now more closely resembles that of PS4 Pro or Xbox One X versus the base consoles. The portable mode is a lot like the base consoles in the sense that games seem to be designed first and foremost with this in mind, and then various improvements can be applied while docked when there's extra power available. Some of these methods, such as Mario's frame jittering technique, are certainly clever and work really well on a small portable screen, while others, such as Xenoblade 2's low average resolution with sharpening filter, really don't work all that well. All of them are fascinating, and now with this mod we can better appreciate each and every one going forward. And there we have it, our first look at Switch from a fresh new perspective. And I know I'm certainly surprised at how well a lot of these games have held up under the microscope. We'll examine more games in the future, but that's all for now. As always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell, and follow us over on Twitter. But until next time, keep on gaming.